welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Here we are.
That much you can say.
Where is here?
Well, we're going to talk about Diablo IV later, but I'm going to say it's Diablo IV-esque here in the northeastern part of the United States. And
So you found yourself in Sanctuary?
I wish I was in Sanctuary right now. I bet the air quality's better.
Let's just say the sky has a certain California wildfire orange to it going on right now. Of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, parts of Canada are having severe wildfires, and that smoke is blowing into the United States. Canada! And boy, it is weird out there. I'm sure, Brad, you are familiar with this kind of weirdness.
Oh, yeah.
But it is.
Yeah, I dug up some drone footage from that blood red day in 2020 this morning of the city that looks like straight up Blade Runner.
Yep.
I thought at the time that was just going to be a California thing that we were going to deal with annually, but apparently everybody's going to get it sooner or later.
So goes California, so goes the world. That's what they say with like emissions and car manufacturing, and now I guess with the color of the sky.
Just exporting our natural disasters now.
Yeah,
it's been a real fucking roller coaster these last couple of days, man. Like, I mean, we've talked about this before. I straight up closed on the house yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And as we were driving back from the title office after signing all the stuff, handing over the check and all that shit, it's just like, oh, cool. I can't even see off the George Washington Bridge because everything is so encased in smoke, I can't see more than like 10 feet in front of me.
It is weird out there, and obviously we say that, and I hope everybody who is directly affected by the fires is finding safety, and I know it's a real shit show out there. So.
I mean, look, we're just getting the blowback off of it. Canada sounds like it is not in a good way right now. So,
but this is definitely something I'm with you, Brad. When we hear about the stuff in California, did not expect to have here in New Jersey, and look outside and have it be, looks like 9 o'clock at night, but orange. So weird, and it stinks.
Yeah.
And it smells terrible.
It stinks.
It stinks. I will say, on a slightly weird positive note, I feel like everybody's got an N95 mask in their pocket.
Oh, I definitely saw some people commenting on people going around saying, those N95 masks you got for the global pandemic we've been living for the last 3 years are actually really handy for unbearable air quality due to out-of-control wildfires, is definitely the kind of thing you're going to see, let's say if there are historians in the future, going back and being like, so that's probably the point where it turned.
CBSI was straight up distributing N95s to us, to employees at the door back in, I think it was 2018 was the first time we had wildfires bad enough that they were like, hey, don't go outside. This is bad for your lungs. And possible risk of future cancer. You should not be out there. Like, they straight up, you'd walk in the lobby and they're like, here's your mask. So I was acquainted with N95s for a couple of years before. Time to get acquainted with the AQI. Now that you're at it, it's time to... I feel like the air quality, I've said this before, the air quality index should not be a thing that you understand intuitively the same way that you do temperature.
No, right. But I'm learning it now.
I shouldn't know that above 50 is where things start to get questionable. Like, you shouldn't have to know that.
At some point yesterday, I think I saw that New York City had the worst air quality of any city in the world, at least at, some hour peak of the day. And I'd say, I think it's worse today.
I saw somebody up in Canada on a Discord that I'm on was up in the 500s yesterday, which is like, I've never seen anything like that before. Like,
I think 300 is the highest I've ever seen.
Like, it was like in the low mid 300s, I think, here in the worst places when it's gotten really bad. But
good Lord.
I don't know where in Canada they were, maybe like right
that's
next
rough.
to the fires.
I think ours, when I looked earlier, it might be different now, was around 200.
That's also bad. I think like basically like 50 to 100 is like kind of the highest like questionable area you want to be out. Like above 100, better to stay in.
They canceled all the kids' like outdoor activities. They are inside. There's a concert tonight, which I assume will be on unless people are just. I mean, aside from the actual air quality stuff, which is a serious health concern, it's just freaky as hell.
Yeah, it's deeply unsettling.
It's a very surreal experience.
I was telling my wife, I was like, oh, you should go outside and, you should probably take a picture. She's like, I don't want to.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, this is just too weirred.
Also, your phone won't actually take an accurate picture of it because all iPhones now have auto white balance and you can't turn it off.
I asked her because she's got actual cameras that she can go. Yeah, for me, being colorblind, it's like this just ain't right. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what I'm seeing, but I know it ain't right.
Ain't right.
That ain't right. That's wrong. So, yeah.
Welcome to Wrong World. We live here.
Yeah,
I've just bought property in Wrong World. Can't fucking wait.
Right. If you thought it was bad in New Jersey before with the air quality, welcome to it now. So yeah, again, we're getting a lot of the let's call it second, third hand smoke from the fires. I don't want to whine too much about it.
We know we're not suffering as bad as anyone who is in the direct path of this shit, and our hearts go out to anyone that is actually really in the thick of this stuff. It just sucks here. It's not actual apocalypse, but it sounds like right now in parts of Canada, it is just straight up a nightmare.
My brother, who's in upstate New York, had sent me a picture earlier yesterday with his mask on when he was going for a walk, and I was unaware that it was, seeping in at that point, and was like, "What's going on?" And then by about midday yesterday, was like, "This is what's going on."
Yeah.
So
we have every air filter in the apartment going right now. All the windows shut. All the everything is sealed up as it possibly can be. And let me tell you, it's not helping that much.
Yeah.
Time to set up Home Assistant and buy some smart bulbs and then write an automation to make an AQI light bulb.
Oh, boy.
Just put the light bulb right next to the door.
What color would you make it? Bright red?
Oh, well, the AQI scale has colors associated with it, so you could bind it directly. It's basically green to purple, I think.
Oh, boy.
I think purple is the worst. Goes green, yellow, orange, red into purple. I think basically by the time you're getting into orange, you're like, don't go outside.
These are not colorblind friendly.
Flee now.
I have a window in the basement still open. It's probably why it smells down here, because I have to make the trade-off between do I want the weird basement smells or a little bit of the heavy smoke smell. Boy, the trade-offs we make.
Yeah, I mean, that was the truly nightmarish thing 3 years ago, was that nobody has air conditioning here, and it was the middle of summer.
Yeah.
So it was, you can't open any of your windows because literal ash and cinder are blowing in. I mean, I made that mistake one afternoon, and there was literal ash all over the apartment.
That's bananas.
It took 3 days to find and clean it all.
Jeez.
So either let a bunch of smoke and ash in your house, or let it be 95 degrees in there.
I know some air conditioners can try and do, or can filter through. They probably can't condition the air, the air inside without venting to the outside. But that probably just means you're just doing like a fan inside. Anyway,
video games. Yes,
that's
what's important right now.
We are here to talk about them. There are some of them to talk about. Let's just jump into Diablo 4. Let's get in there.
Yeah,
speaking of a hellish landscape.
Yes, Diablo 4. Lilith is a climate change denier. And for that, she must pay.
If anything, she's an accelerationist, I think.
Look, she created this world. I brought you into this world. I can take you out, is basically Lilith's whole thing. I actually don't know what Lilith's motivations are. We know that Lilith, the mother of Sanctuary, the mother of creation, let's say, in the lore of Diablo,
Fraser's ex-wife,
has come back to Sanctuary, or been summoned back to Sanctuary in some capacity to gather up the flock, let's say, to
the
get
posse.
The posse, and I'm sure she has the best of intentions. Let me get this right. She is a demon. She wanted to escape the war between heaven and hell, kind of created Sanctuary as a kind of a Casablanca, let's say, and kind of humans are in there too, and humans are caught between this war between heaven and hell.
So far I'm with you.
The angel, what's his name?
Inarius,
who's kind of an asshole. He's also mixed in there.
He was also in prison in hell for several hundred years. So people seem pretty understanding that he's an asshole for a reason.
Inarius kind of roped into some human version of this, where he is the father of Sanctuary and his light will guide them. And when he ascends back to heaven, apparently in the lore of the Church of Light, Heaven was not happy that he created humanity, but he'll be let back in once he defeats Lilith, and that's the prophecy. And he will bring the humans that have bathed in his light back with him to heaven. So you get this whole kind of interesting take on. I mean, it's very Christianity, very like
it is, but it's all fictionalized. Like they're not specifically calling out like any sort of like Christian figures. It's all just sort of like. Here's the through line of religion that you kind of know, but we're just going to make it all like kind of heavy metal.
I don't know, man. I'm just rolling around, clicking on stuff until it dies, and occasionally hitting numbers 1 through 4.
That seems sensible.
Yeah, that's probably a safe way to go. I mean, you are a sinner, but hey, listen, you got to do what you got to do.
Who among us, really?
They're pretty. The Church of Light doesn't like a sinner, but
no.
But let he who cast the first stone, like a lot of those people seem pretty fucking corrupted. I'll tell you that. Yeah, so Diablo 4.
I am pretty into like how many people in this world are just reveling in the chance to like align with the demons. Like half the side quests involve somebody just saying "fuck it, man." This seems way more fun.
Either by choice or proxy or coincidence, somebody has gotten into league with a demon.
I
have banished more than a few that have inhabited people. I have destroyed more than a few people that have been in league with demons.
I've left at least one skinless guy chained and writhing to a thing because he got in bed with the wrong demon. It's literally just the plot of Hellraiser. They did a Hellraiser side quest.
This sanctuary, it's got a demon problem. It's infested. You can't walk more than 2 feet without a swarm of ghouls or goatmen or somebody getting on your ass.
They got demons in the walls, man. They got to gut that place.
So that all would be for naught if the gameplay in it and the dropping loots, clicking things, make the numbers go up weren't very good. And I have found it to be pretty good so far.
It's pretty satisfying. It's
chasing loot around the map constantly, waiting for stuff to drop. And they have made it. I'm mostly going to be talking about what is mostly burned into my brain, which is Diablo 1 and some of 2. If stuff has come out in 3 that is the same, I apologize if I'm just kind of talking about features that are in it. I think I said this during our stream. I did not keep up with Diablo 3, so wherever that game ended up, if it is very close to Diablo 4, I don't know. Like, it's very possible that, it just wound up in a place that's similar. But this process is streamlined. Mm-hmm. You go into a dungeon, you click and kill things until they're all dead and they've dropped, and then you just town portal back and drop off your loot to either salvage or sell and get back in that dungeon and keep filling up those bags.
Then on to the next.
It is, and the load times are fast. They have put all the blacksmiths and chests very near the town portals. It is a machine of loot just happening constantly.
Which is what you want from a game like this.
Yeah. Though, I don't know if you guys have engaged too much with the socketing and upgrade mechanics. I feel like every time I'm finally saying, all right, I've got a legendary, I'm going to go upgrade it. About 20 minutes later, I'm not using that thing anymore.
Yes, that is, there are pretty significant upkeep costs associated with everything. Mm-hmm. You got to pay to unsocket things, you got to pay to combine gems, you got to pay to do everything. I mean, there's a lot of gold that comes out of selling things and a lot of mats that comes out of salvaging them, so that's kind of fine. I haven't, bumped into it yet, but I am engaging with that stuff out of necessity because I don't know how it is for you guys and your classes. I think we're all on World Tier 2. I am, because I think World Tier 1's kind of boring.
It is, yeah.
It got really hard past level 20. I don't know what's going on. I just did my rogue class quest, or at least the first one this morning, and it got fucking hard. I died 8 times in the dungeon that I was doing my rogue quest in. And I don't know if that has to do with level scaling past 20, because I also noticed that loot, I very much went from every single thing that's dropping has green numbers on it to past level 20. Now 90% of things that are dropping have red numbers on it. And that's also around the time the difficulty spike happens. So I'm fucking grasping for everything I can now, socketing gems. I imprinted my first aspect.
You did
this morning, which was a game changer because it turned that flurry move I've got from right in front of me to 360 degrees, which means that I can not only hit everything around me, but also inflict shadow or poison or whatever on everything around. It's a huge, that one aspect that I got out of a dungeon was huge.
I haven't done the aspect yet because I think to get the aspect back, you have to destroy the weapon, right?
Well, there's two versions. There's you unlock aspects in dungeons that go in the Codex of Power, and you can use those as many times as you want, but they're weaker than the ones that you can extract off of weapons. But those are single use. Like you break down a legendary that has a good aspect on it. You get that aspect and can imprint it on another item, but then that's it. If you break down that item, it's gone.
Oh,
so it's a one chance to move the power from a weapon you got to another weapon.
So it's basically like infusing a new weapon with that old weapon's power, just kind of indirectly. Like you're basically breaking a weapon to get its special ability.
But I think it's legendaries only, and I haven't found any legendaries yet, so I haven't actually, this is just what I've read about it.
I've gotten a bunch of legendaries. They have a little extra text box that's usually like, for me, it's like, hey, you can summon an extra skeleton or something like that.
Yeah.
So I assume that's like your move where it's directly related to your class abilities.
I'm on a rogue. I don't know if the rogue just becomes inherently less survivable at some point, because I was really having a hard time managing aggro and getting out of the way of AoEs and just getting focused down constantly by shitty goat men. But yeah, like, I mean, I guess the positive version of that is like, I'm really having to think about what I'm doing at every moment. Like, it's not actually just mindlessly clicking on stuff until it dies. Like, I was kind of, I don't know about you guys, I'm having to really resist my tendency to just spread myself around whatever. It's like, oh, that bow ability looks fun. Like, oh, this knife thing's cool. Like, I just want to try a little bit of everything. Like, I can't do that anymore. I'm having to, especially with only 6 skill slots.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to pick and choose and like focus down on a build. So I'm full in like daggers and shadow damage right now is what I'm trying. Like, I just had to cut bows entirely out of my build.
Yeah, so I'm playing Druid, and I'm basically like, I unlocked all the main abilities that you get, like the first ones you get as the first 6, and all I've been doing since then is just building those up.
Yeah.
And at some point, I imagine I will start trying some other things, but it seemed like where I was at, the better part, like the way to go approach that stuff was just to make sure that things you had were maxed, because experimenting with a bunch of stuff wasn't going to get me anywhere.
So I've seen some people. So the Necromancer, I think, is my character's not having those issues. I've only died like 3 times, and I die on bosses, and I've died about 3 times. I'm in the mid to late 40s now, or sorry, 30s level wise. But my problem is on bosses, I need to generate corpses of things and a boss will wipe out my entire my army that I'm rolling with is like 9 characters deep, right? So I'm pretty much not getting hit. I go from 100 to 0 if I get hit. But if a boss kills my entire party and I can't generate enough corpses off of hitting the boss or adds, I'm sunk. Like I'm dead in the water.
That's definitely, I've been reading a fair amount of discussion from like people who finished the campaign already, and like resource generation seems like a pretty common issue with most classes right now.
So
like,
yeah,
since I went this dagger only build, like I never quite have enough energy to keep doing all my moves.
So I've seen some people talking in our Discord and around about stuff, just discussing the game, and it seems like a couple of people were agreeing that they respec maybe every 5 to 10 levels to kind of readjust where all their points are allocated to make a different build that adjusts to where the game is. Because the game is now where I'm at, and probably where you maybe things changed for you, Brad, is there's just mobs that break through. You just can't dodge everything. The dodge doesn't come back fast enough. There's like usually 1 or 2 overpowered boss like elites in a mob, and then just 10s if not 20 things surrounding you. That status effects are more now. There's like characters will just freeze me or put me in a state of panic or something like that. But for the Necromancer, it's just such a different game because you have a group of people taking the hits for you.
Right. You have this little skeleton army that is constantly chasing you around.
It's really very, very different. And I just had to refocus my build to be like, how can I generate more corpses? There are abilities that actually make corpses on hit damage rather than death. So it's having the 6 abilities to choose from is tough. And luckily, the refund cost for abilities is not punishing, and I have tons of cash. But I really wish they had a training ground. That's the only thing I wish they had, some kind of training ground to just be like, okay, before you spend all this money to put it into a new type of build, do you want to check it out? Because I have no idea how it's going to work in reality. I
found it pretty generous about dropping items that give you temporary abilities. Like I'm getting those kind of constantly at this point. Like it's like this one. Some of them are single abilities. It's like, oh, you get a rank in blank ability if you equip this weapon. But I got one this morning that was straight up like +1 to all imbuement powers. So that's like shadow, poison, and cold for me. So I can actually just like try all of those for a little bit.
Right, but at level 1, right? Which is like, maybe. Yeah, I've gotten a couple of those. Also, the buffs in the dungeons are nice sometimes, where you get the electric buff or the overpowered buff. And I had one where I saw a boss door, and I forget what it's called, but it's the one where you just shoot arrows out of you for a while. You just like starts like arrows just shoot out of your character for a while. And I was like, oh man, can I open the boss door and then just get this thing and roll into the boss? And sure enough, I did. And it just melted the boss. I was able to just stand to the side and melt. Again, Necromancer has a bunch of people to take aggro. So I just stood to the side and melted the boss. I had been rolling pretty casually through it on World Tier 2 until I started hitting bosses that would wipe out my entire skeleton army. And then I had to rethink how I was playing and spec a little differently because I'd never had that happen before. But for that class, at least, it seems manageable so far, I'd say, on World Tier 2. I've did 2 strongholds, are they called? The red skull
Yes,
things?
I haven't seen any of those yet. There's like cellars, which take 5 minutes, dungeons, which are like a good 20, and then I have not seen a stronghold yet.
Yeah, I have not. I've seen the stronghold. I have not done a stronghold yet.
They'll occasionally lock a dungeon quest behind a stronghold, so they'll be like, you have to do this first. And they're kind of neat because they usually take place over an outdoor period of the map that you have to, like a bigger area that you have to walk around and complete objectives. So I've done 2 of those, and that's where I wound up dying to that boss, was in a stronghold. It was pretty rough in there. But they level those up +2 from where you are on the scale.
I think
kind of. Go ahead.
I was just saying, so I'm not the biggest Diablo expert in the world. I mean, realistically, I think 3 is the only one I've spent significant time in. But the thing I'm finding with this one is that a lot of it seems very manageable as a solo thing, though occasionally I will run into situations where it feels like certain class, or like my class in particular, does not handle, like say the end fight or of a dungeon or, a particular thing like as well as maybe it would in a group situation. But also the group stuff does not feel like it is 100% balanced. Like I know they're doing this thing with, basically whoever is attacking an enemy, that enemy automatically balances to whatever their level is. And I think that's cool. And I think that the ability to sort of like drop in and drop out, it seems pretty seamless. But the weird stuff with like, hey, only one player can see these cutscenes, and, like the way missions don't show up on the map unless you're the leader. And so those are the only missions that are available to you. Like some of that stuff feels like a little hinky.
Some of the connective tissue in the game, I think, is a bit underbaked. You can see in the quest log, at least, if the host has other quests than you, and if you're, what your eligibility is and stuff like that.
It is also pretty easy to switch who the leader is. We found as we were doing that stream. So,
have you guys done any class specializations yet? That's the thing I got out of that first rogue quest. I don't know. There may be more quests. I'm not sure, but like, I found that some of the later class specialty stuff that just is not tutorialized well. Like they just dropped this rogue quest in my quest log at some point when I hit, I think, level 15 without really pointing my attention to it. And then when I went and did it, I get this exchange with this like rogue teacher going like, oh, you've learned everything you can learn. I can't teach you anything else. And then she just bounces. And I'm like, okay, what's my cool class thing now?
Now what?
And unless I missed a notification somewhere amidst 800 skeletons exploding around me.
Which you might have.
Like, I went back to the specializations tab, and it had just unlocked 2 of the 3 without really any fanfare. Like, one of them is just like, okay, now you can build combo points off of your basic attacks, and then when you cash in the energy attacks, it cashes those combo points in for, like, damage bonus or whatever. I forget what the other one was. But anyway, it was just like, any amount of, hey, you should go try this now. Here's what the new thing you just unlocked would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's some of it feels like it's not quite all there.
I think the Necromancer version of that is the Book of the Dead, where you manage your the skeletons and the pets. It's a kind of pet class. I was wondering also if some of this was coming over from other Diablo stuff where people are more familiar with it, because they don't kind of go into the skeleton maintenance stuff that much either. You're just, I had no idea that I could have two groups, the mages and the warriors, at the same time, and then that the golem was going to be its own special summon, and I think that stuff is just kind of out there. I mean, I got it after a while. It didn't take very long, but I could see where they're dropping in stuff that's like, oh, you don't know this? This was we introduced the specializations for the rogue.
How do you not know this? Come on.
Yeah,
right. You just need to find a good skeleton garage to handle your skeleton maintenance.
Yeah,
just everybody should have a good skeleton guy.
Every skeleton guy is out there to screw you, man. I'm telling you.
This carburetor starting to knock in this skeleton. Can you help me?
Yeah. So but that aside, I kind of the wish that I could practice with a couple of more things. There's also a lot of terminology that sometimes there's 60%, let's give it 70% of the way there to explaining in certain powers. They'll have a little text underneath that's like, hey, I know we're using all these words like fortify and these things, and like, let me just remind you what that actually means in the game. They do a decent job, but sometimes they don't have that text there. And when you're playing with a controller, and I've gone back and forth between controller and mouse, you can't just roll over a text to get a pop-up. And you can't, or at least I couldn't, easily find a way with a controller to highlight status effects, which sometimes you'll just be like, what is this icon that's over my character's hotbar? With a mouse, you just roll over and you're like, oh, I've got this. I'm in this state. So some of that stuff is a little weird, but the clicking and the exploding skeletons is pretty fun so far.
There's a lot of good demonic stuff to kill in that game, I will say.
Yeah, I am like, as much as I feel like the look of this game is kind of an overreaction to the backlash to 3, I'm also way into how much this just feels like a throwback to the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Because that first game in particular was just gothic as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels kind of in line with that.
It's definitely in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't know how the leveling curve throughout the campaign is going to work and stuff, because it feels like it's fucking overstuffed with content. Like, I don't know how long the acts are, but I don't feel like I'm even that many missions into Act 1 out of 6, and I'm already level 25.
Mm-hmm.
And I've still got, like, most of the side quests left to do in this first starting area. Like, I mean, it goes up to level 100.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's plenty of room. I think World Tier 3 unlocks at 50, if I'm not mistaken. Like, obviously, there's plenty of ramp left to go, but it just feels like I don't know. Like, how long is this damn game? How many side quests are in this damn game if there are 6 acts? And
there are a lot of side quests.
Barely into the first one, because I just keep finding other stuff to do.
So, as you complete side quests, new side quests just open up. Like, even in the same town. Like, you will just, like, oh, you did this one? How about this one? You did this one? How about this one? I'm like I said, I'm in the mid-30s. I want to say, no, I don't think I did. I am in the process of finishing what I think is my last level or Act 1 mission. So it's a little weird. They start populating Act 2 and Act 3 missions, even if you haven't finished doing the Act 1 missions.
Like, straight up at the beginning. Like, they just give you missions, quests from Act 1, 2, and 3 all dotted around the map. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a little confusing. I kind of like it because, it gives you a sense of take this at your own pace and not just railroad it into certain missions. But I do feel like I'm looking at those being like, well, I have to finish the Act 1 ones before I do the Act 2 ones. That's just silly. But I've been trying to scoop up side missions as they come up, and I can't make any progress because they're never ending. It's you do one and just like 2 more appear.
That's how they get you.
But they've been fairly. I mean, look, all those fucking cellars are the same. You walk into a cellar, you turn left, and there's a big room, and there's either a person on a bed, a demon on a bed, a person floating, or a demon floating. And you fight them.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to follow that all the way back, though, kind of everything in this game is the same.
Yeah, look.
That is not inaccurate.
It's pretty. I'm not going to say it's cookie cutter when you go down a set of stairs, but what am I doing? I'm just following the parts of the map I haven't uncovered yet and killing things.
Yeah,
so,
like I mean, there's a ton of nuance and for every sequel, and things are different mechanically and stuff, but I definitely have had the thought a couple times of just like, about every 5 to 10 years, they just make another one of these, and they are all kind of the same. Whatever, that's the action RPG.
I mean, that's lots of things. Look, I'm in no position to criticize this sort of thing. I play Madden every year, I understand. Sometimes there is just a formula, and you just keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like these are maybe a little more formulaic than a lot of games, a lot of genres.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily a bad thing. You know what you're signing up for, but
I guess the big thing we haven't really mentioned here is that this is an always online kind of.
Oh, buddy,
it's not. I would say it's a multiplayer online game. It's not massive.
It's a shared world. Yeah,
it's a shared world. So
you're seeing a lot of NPCs together in towns, and fewer but still some out in the world. They've got world events now. Which I think are pretty awesome. I know Destiny 2 was not the first game to introduce those, but that was where I saw them the first time, and that's just a fun way to add shit to do as you're roaming, and you'll be struggling with one, and a couple people will roll in and help you finish it. And I was like, that's a fun little social thing.
They don't advertise them. You kind of stumble into them. It's not like in other games where sometimes it'll say, like Destiny 2, for example, will say hey, this is popping off right now, or somebody's really involved in this, or you're nearby somebody's struggling in one. You just kind of have to be in the ring of it and be like, oh shit, there's already loot on the ground. Somebody's in here. Let me go help or do something. But in dungeons, I've seen a couple of people, or at least in the overworld, I've seen people fighting a thing and been like, oh shit, I'll help that. I don't know what it is, but I will spam the button on this thing you're fighting and help you out. So it's neat.
There is a dark side to the always online thing, which was being reported on today. So they have that hardcore mode in there.
Yeah, don't get disconnected.
Permadeath thing.
Yes, I saw this.
And it was some sort of race going on to see who would be the first character to get to level 100 in hardcore mode. And someone did it, and then after they did it. Yeah, and after they did it, after putting about 80 some odd hours into the game disconnected, which kills your character.
Hey, listen, I was there Monday trying to connect. It sucked. It was a launch. If you're playing hardcore mode on launch day, I know you're trying to beat a thing.
This was over multiple days.
But I'm saying if you're connected with your hardcore character on launch day, you gotta be, and it's a Blizzard launch.
But you know what though? It's also not launch day, because remember, the version we got access to was the version that all the people who spent $100 to pre-order did. So it wasn't even the full slate of player base.
Sorry, I thought you said this happened on launch day on Monday. I don't know
when it happened. I saw the headlines this morning going around.
But I think they had been playing since prior to that.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. If you put 80 hours in, for sure.
I think they hit 100 on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, is when that happened.
I'm not saying it's an excusable thing, but it sucked at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night when I tried to log in and was stuck at a queue for 30 minutes trying to get in to play that game.
Yeah, I haven't even bothered the last 2 nights.
It's been fun. It's been fun for the last since that one night for me, at least. But that one night, when it went full release, was kind of a nightmare. I saw they even rolled out a live patch and disconnected everybody. That's probably when that person got disconnected, if I had to guess, because I saw a lot. Because when I was like, "What is happening? I can't connect," so a lot of people be like, "Fuck! I was just fighting a boss. You didn't even give what was it? The Windows network alert? They ping everybody's computer. Hey, the network's coming down." It just went down. They just rolled out a patch.
Just absolute fucking hell.
Diablo hell. Yeah, it sucks.
I haven't seen anybody do the pay like $30 extra to play this early thing in a while. That's like some straight up 2018 Microsoft shit. Who else does that these days? But they sure did.
EA it will get you your play Madden early and stuff, right?
Kind of happened. I mean, they've got their subscription service in there, kind of muddying that a little bit. But this was just some straight up cash grab. We know how bad you want to play this. Yeah. We know that you will buy the $90 or $100 version of this to do so. I don't know how the cross-platform stuff and that stuff I feel like also is maybe a little iffy, because I grabbed the PS5 version over the weekend because I wanted to play it on the couch and see how that version looked, and also test how the account-wide stuff works, because they are selling a $100 version of this game. And On the upside, anything you unlock in any expensive version or in a battle pass or anything is account-wide. So you don't have to like the $100 goodies you got on one platform, you don't have to go buy the $100 version again.
Oh, that's, I mean, I was going to say that's nice, but that's air quote nice.
Yeah,
right?
we're totally. So you can just buy the standard edition elsewhere and still have all the good shit that you got on like your Ultimate Edition or whatever. They did not account for that with the early access though.
What?
So even though I had been playing on PC with the Ultimate Edition, when I got the standard edition on PS5, I could not play it over the weekend. I still had to wait until Monday night. Like
like your, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, like
your entitlements or whatever. Like
yes,
okay.
I know that's built into the platform level. Like they just the PS5 saw it as a game that was not released because I didn't have the entitlement for the season pass or whatever it is in the back end that would make it playable. But it's kind of a bummer they didn't account for that.
Okay. But that's good to know that you can. So your progress, items, all that stuff, characters obviously come over.
Once I finally got through the queue and everything, like my level 20 from the PC was just right there on the select screen. Like it was quite seamless in that way. It does not transfer like trophy achievement progress.
Okay.
Like none of the trophies popped on PS5
That's
coming over from
weird.
Coming over from the PS5.
So could you just like unequip and then re-equip all your equipment to get that like loaded out?
Yeah, I Googled around a little bit. I saw people with varying experiences of like, after I went out and killed something, they all popped all at once. And then other people were like, it's never worked for me. Like, I mean, whatever, trophy's not a huge deal, but still, like, some of the cross-platform stuff is not fully figured out here.
So I almost wanted to get it on PS5 too, because I don't have 4K on my PC, and I kind of wanted to see what it might look like in 4K with the HDR on, but I've been playing through the Moonlighter Steam Link it's very funny because they changed the UI on the PS5 and consoles for controller, but when you play with the controller on the PC, the UI is not changed.
Sure.
But it's fine. It's very functional. It's the same controller mappings, I'm sure. But I'm always curious to see how it would work because I'm just playing PC with controller on the couch, but it's 1080 on that TV through the Steam Link, and it gets a little. I can see it a bit, would like to see how it looks because I think that game does look good. Like when I play it on my PC, it is a nice looking game.
I wish they would make a new Steam Link.
Yeah, I mean, I could just get a different device at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can. I mean, you can do it on a Raspberry Pi or like a Shield, NVIDIA Shield TV will still work. I think.
I thought weren't they doing something with the Shield that was?
Well, that's the game stream stuff doesn't work anymore, but you could probably still do Moonlight, I assume.
Or anyway, the other one, Sunshine or
Sunshine is the new game stream. Just the Steam Deck is so huge at this point, like something that ties into that ecosystem.
Yeah,
a little more would be nice because the old Steam Link sure is showing its age.
Yeah, look, I don't have a Steam Deck, but I wonder how this thing plays on there. I'm sure it plays just fine.
I've seen people talking about playing it. I think it might be verified.
Okay.
Have you tried it, Alex?
I haven't tried it. I think the thing I read was that it works well, but you do have to tweak a couple of things just to get it like fully functional.
Yeah, to be clear, this isn't a Steam game. This is a Battle.net game. So you would be side loading in
now?
Yeah. Are they going to bring it to Steam? Did they say?
No, absolutely not.
As
things stand, but Microsoft started putting all their first party stuff on Steam like 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
So
I'm also playing on PS5, so
yeah,
right.
In the event that Activision Blizzard becomes part of Microsoft, maybe we'll see Blizzard games on Steam someday. Who knows?
I don't know what you do on the Steam Deck, but just kind of adding a non-Steam game to Steam, and you have to click through the Battle.net launcher, but it seems to work just fine after that. I played through Moonlight mostly, not Steam, but I did try it through Steam, and it seemed to just work fine through there, which is nice. I didn't have to go through any hurdles. And just played with a regular Xbox controller, and it seemed to be just fine to the point where when I play with the mouse and keyboard, I'm like, this wasn't so bad with the controller. Yeah, it might be okay.
It's not bad with a controller.
It's totally fine. I will say going back and forth is a little tough. Like I've got muscle memory on my fingers for number keys for specific abilities, and then having to go every time I go back to the controller, remember which one of those goes where.
Totally. Tough. Yes. Fun game though. It totally derailed me from playing Tears of the Kingdom and everything else. It's a very this is Diablo's bread and butter, right? It's a very I don't have to think too hard right now for me. There's some complexity in managing the character and stuff like that, but point me in the right direction and I just make a bloodbath, and it's not a lot of puzzle solving. It's not a lot of
just demon murdering, just an
not
endless
platform,
parade
right, yes.
of demon murdering.
It's more about, am I in the right position? Am I doing the right tactical stuff? And am I making the numbers go up? Ooh, the good drop sound just happened. Let me that guy just exploded into coins. So fun so far. The other thing that seems very light in this game, and I don't know if this was in Diablo 3 or any other version, the clan stuff seems kind of just there.
It's a way to keep track of your friends that you want to play with, but that's kind of seems like it.
Like, I don't think it's unlocking any other skins, or like it's not like you're getting points for your clan for accomplishing goals. It just seems like a bigger friends list, more specialized friends list, which it would be nice if they fleshed it out a little bit.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'm sure they probably had announced this prior to launch, that it shipped without the battle pass, like that they're waiting until season 1 starts to roll the battle pass in, even though that's part of what you get with the expensive version of the game. So I wonder if more clan and social features maybe are coming once they start ramping up on endgame and seasonal stuff.
You could see it. The hooks are there. They have customized. They have profile cards for your character. You customize. What do they call them? Titles, backgrounds, stances, probably. I don't know. All that kind of thing. All that kind of stuff could go in there.
The cross platform friends list works quite well. I will say it's about 90% PC players on. I have a pretty big friends list across all three. About 90-10 PC to PS5. Have not seen a single Xbox player.
No kidding. Yeah.
On my friends list yet.
Huh. Dude, they have a roadmap for this I can look up somewhere. Like, I wonder if they'll do any kind of PvP arenas or stuff.
Oh, that's in there. There is a PvP. Or I don't know if it's on yet, but they've announced whatever that is. There's a name for it. I can't remember. Everything's some, fucking like Plane of Torment or Hellfire, Hellfields.
Okay.
Or something. They have detailed the PvP. If it's not in yet, I'm not sure.
At this point, I think I don't want to play in the PvP. I just want to see people's thoughts on the class balancing in PvP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wonder if the rogue is like, oh shit, that's the PvP class, but PvE it's really tough, because you would pick to just target the player and not the skeletons or the and just shred a player, versus the PvE, they are always just certain things have aggro, and the computer's just going towards all these things, and luckily they're not touching me because it's an AI, it's the computer's program, but a player would shred me in 2 seconds. I wouldn't last at all. So curious just to see how that stuff stacks up. When we played together, aside from if you're too far ahead or too far behind, seeing the quests and stuff, aside from that stuff, the network stuff seemed fine. And when we played together in the pre-release version of it, seemed to hold up. Players can go wherever they want. You're not like rubber banding to each other or anything like that. You just explore the world wherever you want. The scaling seemed more challenging than when I was alone, right? So when I was playing with you guys, obviously something was happening with the mechanics of the game where I had to pay more attention to the combat arena than when I play by myself, because it was harder. I was taking more hits, or I don't know if it's spawning more monsters or what, but it was definitely doing something in there. And it seemed like you guys, it was challenging. It didn't feel, even though I was like 10 or 15 levels ahead of you guys, it still felt very challenging. So it was interesting. I like that part. I think the thing, Brad, you mentioned this on the stream, the only thing that, it's not that big an issue, but it is a little deflating, the constant scaling of everything to your level, where they just continually scale the world to where you're at. So you're never just 10 levels ahead of where a zone was. It doesn't pin a zone there, but you do have all the powers and the gear and the ability once you go back, and you kind of can stomp through some of it, but it's not like you're just, shredding things from the starting zone.
I understand why you do that, but it's kind of a bummer that they did that.
Yeah.
Never going to be a cakewalk. I guess the upside of that is that I have like 8 side quests I haven't done, some of which I picked up right at the beginning of the game, and at least those will all still be like interestingly challenging by the time I get around to them. So there's that. But yeah, it's got trade-offs.
It's kind of funny to see your quest list just constantly at your level. it's just something you don't see in games a lot, where it's just like, yeah, sure, yes, now I'm level 34. This quest I got 20 hours ago is also now level 34. That's Diablo 4. It is $70 to get in the door to play, like we said before. Are they selling that $100 version still? Because it comes with other benefits, right?
Yes, I'd have to go
Like
double
horse.
check.
Okay, heads up, they promote the hell out of that horse in the materials.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get it right away.
You should know you do not get that horse for a while.
I was thinking about that this morning because, yes, like you can go to the stable within like 30 minutes of starting the game and look at your fancy horse skins, but you sure as hell can't ride them.
Yeah, and it's on all the promotional material stuff for that big version.
I was thinking about it this morning, and then when it hit me, like, oh, right, this is the company that made World of Warcraft. Like, remember how big a milestone it was to get your mount in that game? Like, of course they're going to bury this horse behind a bunch of progression and story.
Yeah. But as a platform, it seems pretty good. I'll say.
If I remember, I think getting the accelerated battle pass is a big part of the expensive version.
Okay.
But there are some unique cosmetics. I think there are some things that you can only get with that $100 version. But you can also, most of it, I think, is just getting the battle pass once that happens.
Can I pay obols for my battle pass? Murmuring obols at some point?
I haven't spent any of those yet.
Oh, you guys. Oh, you should just.
I've spent a few. I haven't gotten much of anything of note out of it, though.
So, you cap out. You can get higher caps on it, but you cap out, so you should spend them. But B, it's basically a gacha machine. It's
of course it is.
And so I just hit like pants, legendary, awesome. And then I'll just check that out. So,
Brad, that's your title for the podcast. Pants, legendary, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend going there and just spamming a thing. Also, the weird thing is those keys you get, there's usually garbage in those chests. So, like, it's just, I've gotten vendor trash from all those silent chests. I wish I had just spent the money on the item to unlock the item from the obol. I'd rather take my chances there from that vendor. I have gotten like 3 legendaries from that obol vendor just by spamming a certain thing. I try to fill in the blank where I don't have a legendary yet.
Last thing I'll say real quick, they actually make a lot of the account-wide progression stuff fairly generous, like those altars of Lilith and stuff like that you're finding. There are things that'll like get up your obol capacity or like give you +1 to strength. Those are cross-character. Those are basically every character you make from then on will get those as well.
That's cool.
And I think you only have to play through the campaign once to unlock everything for subsequent characters. I don't know exactly how that stuff's going to work, but I think basically finish the game once and then you can make new characters and just jump right into seasonal stuff or whatever.
This is a term that I feel like I might know what it means, but you probably know better than I do, Brad. What's a capstone dungeon mean?
I think that is unique to this game.
Okay.
I believe you have to finish those to unlock the subsequent world tiers.
That's what I was. Like, that's where I saw it.
Like you have to like hit level 50 and then go do a certain capstone dungeon to get world tier 3. I think.
Does it just mean like it's like a benchmark dungeon or something?
I don't know.
They're using it.
I've never seen that term before. It might be unique here.
Interesting. I think it's a cool Diablo platform. Like it's if you're looking to get into Diablo and never played it before, this seems like a good one to do that. Like I don't think you need to have played 1, 2, or 3 or any of that stuff. You seem just fine jumping in here.
I will say, comparing the early days of this game to those of Diablo 3, no comparison.
Yeah. Yes.
Compared to how that game launched.
Yeah. Think they'll throw an auction house in here somewhere?
Well, I mean, maybe like a totally in-game currency one.
No real money auction house.
But yeah, that stuff's
Diablo 4 out now, $70 on the PC and all the consoles. No Switch version yet. Maybe they'll stream one in someday. I don't know.
Possible.
But yeah, PS4, PS5, Xbox platform there.
I bet this would be a good game on a new Switch. Let's say.
Well, I don't know. You always got to be online, so that might be a thing that makes it a little less portable if you're breaking your online. Catch it now, Diablo 4. The devil's out there. Go find him. We're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna go shut some more windows, and we'll be right back. This week's show is brought to you by Factor. Alex Navarro and Brad Shoemaker. I like to eat food.
Wow, controversial.
You know, I like to eat food. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. It's delivered right to your door. They're convenient, wholesome meals, and they're ready just for you. I like to eat. I don't like the time it takes necessarily to prepare everything. I've had Factor meals, and I'll tell you what, they're quick and they taste good. You can take that to the bank. They warmed up nice and quickly, and they tasted good.
They filled you up.
They did fill me up. They also have calorie-conscious options. You can have delicious dietitian-approved calorie-smart meals with around or fewer than 550 calories per serving. They have delicious flavor-packed options on the menu each week, including keto and calorie-smart vegan and veggie protein plus. They're prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians. Each meal has all of the ingredients you need to feel satisfied. How will you know if you're satisfied? Oh, you're gonna know.
Don't ask me. Ask Factor.
You can feel satisfied all day long while meeting your goals. This June, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. I'm gonna say, no fuss, no muss. Head to factormeals.com/Nextlander50 and use code Nextlander50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code Nextlander50 at factormeals.com/Nextlander50 to get 50% off your first box. Thanks, Factor. All right, we are back. We got a couple of other games here to mention. Let's stay on the spooky devil-adjacent path right now. Stay on that devil-adjacent path. Amnesia the Bunker, a game that I probably shouldn't have been playing this morning as the sun was blotted out, but it was a pretty spooky time. This is the next in the Amnesia franchise. It's $25. I feel like that's... If you haven't played the Amnesia games, they're not necessarily like AAA blockbuster games. They are, they're a little janky, or they're a little... it's a $25 game, and it feels about a $25-ish, level of game. I'm just not saying it's bad. It's just, that vibe. It's scary. I don't know what to say. I was like, I don't put down games because it's freaking me out too many times, and this was one of those ones that's like, this is stressing me out. Alex would hate this game. Alex would not like this game at all.
I fucking love and fucking despise that first Amnesia game, because it's one of the only horror games I was like... I mean, look, there are plenty of horror games I check out of because I'm like, I don't enjoy this. But I really wanted to power through that one because I was really into the atmosphere of it. But the getting chased around by horrific shit in that game is some of the most horrific of that entire genre. I never played a Machine for Pigs after seeing people not say it was super great. My understanding is that this one is maybe a little bit of a throwback to kind of original Amnesia, hide in a closet monster stuff.
So I'm not too far into it, but I am far enough to have multiple times the lights go out and horrible sounds happen around you where you're like, shit. I just want to get to a door. They do the cool thing where there are doors that you can lock. So, you get into a room and the controls are fiddly and fumbly enough in kind of a good way that it works for panicking. So they do a thing that probably feels very clunky on the controller. Feels a little bit better on the PC, where to like shut a door, you have to hold the right trigger and then use the right stick to kind of like make the motion of shutting a door or opening a door. And that makes things just that much. It's not just hit A to shut the door, right? You've got to like open and shut the door and then lock it. And it really works, I think, for this series and at least for this game. It takes place during World War I. You're in a bunker, basically, the setup, and it's bad news in that bunker. There's something's in that bunker with you. You're kind of the only survivor so far, at least that I have found, in this bunker. A lot of text, a lot of kind of putting the pieces together from notes and stuff that were left around. Writing's pretty good. VO's pretty good.
Do you see the monster?
I
feel like these games. I've not played one of these games, but it seems like it would be hard to show you too much too soon, because the more you just stare at the thing head on, the less scary it gets.
I saw the results of the monster. I've seen, let's say, maybe bits of the monster, but I have not yet seen full-on monster. I don't think it's that kind of game. And there's something in the walls kind of game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Okay.
And what's in the walls probably sucks.
it definitely it sucked for the one guy that really got intimate with the thing in the walls. I'll say that. Amazing reload for the revolver. You basically have a revolver, and you have to hold a button to put it into reload mode, and he'll shake out the empty casings, and then one by one insert a new bullet into the gun. It is the slowest fucking thing in the world, and the ammo scarcity is laughable. You know, like I have not had a full 6 rounds in that gun yet. It is, if you have not reloaded that gun before you need it, you might as well just throw it.
Just give up.
Yeah. It's everything is, but it works for the environment they're making. You have this it's World War I, so you have this flashlight, as you can imagine, not a lot of battery powered stuff, aside from giant batteries. So you have this flashlight that has like a wind up mechanism on it, that it's like, oh yeah, to keep your flashlight going, you gotta do this pull cord on it, but don't make too much noise. You're like, well, fuck you. I'm gonna stay in the dark. I gotta get my ass out of here. Cool. It's a fun game so far. I'm enjoying it.
Fun.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play this, am I? I'm not going to want to do this.
You shouldn't, but you should watch some of it to confirm that you will not play it. Brad, you should maybe want to play it on a grab bag or something.
I might check it out at some point.
Yeah, it's fairly tense. In the good Amnesia way. I played Machine for Pigs. I think we played with Abby. The last one I played, it was more outside. I didn't love it as much. It was kind of more exteriors. I can't remember what the name of it was. This one feels claustrophobic and scary. So that's Amnesia: The Bunker. That's out now. $25 if you want to be. I assume it's continues its pace of being scary, but I can't say for sure. I'm not that far into it. Another horrifying, scary game, which we'll stay on the horror bent for a little bit here. We Love Katamari. A nightmare of a game.
What is more nightmarish than being rolled up in a giant ball of garbage by an ethereal being?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Okay. Nothing is the answer.
Sounds like freedom to me.
A whimsical, frivolous king of all cosmos, just basically... Is it his children? His nephews?
Yeah, it's the prince is the main one, but then there are about 17,000 second cousins that you can unlock in those games. And this is the one, We Love Katamari, that tells the story of the King of All Cosmos' childhood trauma, like being raised under the despotic King of All Cosmos that was his father, who forces him to train hard and learn to be a badass, despite the fact that he seemingly does not want to do that. They reconcile in the end. I don't want to spoil too much here, but I mean, this game did come out in 2004, so it's you've had some time.
It's a documentary about the creation of the universe. That's when it came out.
But so this is Reroll. This is the same treatment they gave to Katamari Damacy a couple of years ago when they put it on the new consoles, or the current consoles. And I will just say right now, Katamari Damacy is one of my favorite games of all time. And so is We Love Katamari. So having the two of these now in a ready and polished up version on the platforms that I currently have plugged in is very nice.
What is Royal Reverie?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Because the package is We Love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie, which I don't know if was an expansion to it or some other bit of Katamari that came out, because I had never heard of Royal Reverie.
I don't really know what... I guess that is the stuff that is tied to the stories of the king and all that stuff, but I don't really know much about what Royal Reverie is supposed to be. I've just been playing We Love Katamari.
Fair enough.
Is the thing that I've been doing.
Did they add any? It's like a spin move or something that they add. What did they add that's different than Damacy?
I think the spin move may have already been there. There was definitely some camera stuff that they did to make it a little bit more manageable in that one, because that was kind of one of the failings of that first game, was that the camera could be kind of awkward in weird places.
Is there multiplayer added?
There is multiplayer in this one. I think that is an addition for this one. I don't think the co-op was in the first one.
Okay. Very cool. Where are you playing it?
I'm playing on PS5, and I will say one very fun thing about this game is that they basically have to manufacture load times for you, because whenever they do the thing where you hit the benchmark where it scales the world up, there's a little bit of dialogue from the king as he's getting ready to load you into the next world area. And he's just like loading, and it takes about 2 seconds, and then you have to click through his dialogue to get to the next thing. Those used to be real load times. Now that's just sort of there. It feels like a weird vestige of the old games. Not to say they wouldn't have to do something when they do that world load, but still.
What was the last new Katamari game they made? It's been a while, hasn't it?
Was it the Vita one? Or did they make one after that? I think Touch My Katamari might have been the last one.
That's the Vita.
But these are the two that still had Keita Takahashi working on them. After that, it was just internal Namco without him.
Right. I forgot about that.
Very cool. I think I might pick this up for the kids. I tried to play Katamari Damacy with them. They were younger. I don't think they quite got it. They played a little bit. They kind of liked it, but I feel like they'd be into it now. They're just fun games.
The soundtrack is probably my favorite of all of them for this one. I mean, the first one's really good, but this one kind of takes it up several notches in terms of weirdness. And yeah, I don't know. It's just nice to have these games in a very readily accessible. Like, I've already almost beaten that campaign in a, I mean, they're not long games, but you obviously want to go back and continually make bigger and bigger Katamaris as you see fit.
You got to find the strength. You're out there to give the King of all Cosmos that strength.
And this one has a lot more of like the weird themed stages where like you're, someone needs a really bright Katamari, so all you're doing is rolling up fireflies, or you want to make a snowman head Katamari, so you're trying to make the biggest snowman head you can on the mountains.
We Love Katamari. Reroll is out now. That's $30. Continuing his quest for strength, Brad Shoemaker. How's Bosch doing?
Oh, fuck Bosch. I don't know. I
Wow.
haven't seen that asshole since last week, and I do not care.
Well, if you needed another show title, fuck Bosch is just right there.
He made his choices.
How are you doing in Street Fighter 6, Brad?
Doing pretty well. I did my placements on that stream on Friday on the PC version and made it into bronze, which is not the lowest tier you can get placed into, which I will take as a victory.
That absolutely is a victory.
Is it totally? Is it stone? What is the...
I know iron is below bronze. I don't know if there's anything else below that. Wood, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Rubber.
It's kind of it's random timing, but it actually feels like kind of a stark contrast to Diablo with pretty good cross-platform progression stuff that Street Fighter 6 has none.
Oh,
like none? 0?
Wait, even with this Capcom account stuff?
Yes, that's kind of extra. Why it's so strange to me is that you're making one Capcom ID and attaching all of your platform accounts to it now, and yet I got on the PC and went through that. I jumped through the hoops to connect to Steam, and then like. None of my friends, maybe. I don't think I actually added any friends when I moved to PC, but like World Tour progress all gone, rank gone, unlocks gone, like everything is starting from scratch.
That's a real shame.
Cross play is the big thing. Like that's the thing you want in a fighting game more than anything, but it sure would be nice to take the same other stuff back and forth, which you super do not.
Did you place again on the PC version?
No, I have not done the placements on PS5 yet.
Oh, okay.
Saving those A for not the launch window when every wannabe Daigo is out there, and B when I get some more time with it. I started going through one of the character tutorials for Ken. Like those are pretty good. I think those are pretty good. They just step you through all the special moves. And some of the other kind of like normals and offensive, defensive strengths for the character and stuff like that. Like you go through step by step, and it's just like very plain language. Like here's what this person's good at doing. Here are some options they've got in this situation.
Okay.
Like press the touchpad if you want to jump in and try it yourself, or you can just move on to the next one.
That's cool.
Here's where you would use overdrive moves. Here's like, hey, canceling from these normals into an overdrive fireball is a thing you can do. Like, it's pretty good. I didn't finish it yet. There's quite a bit there to absorb, but like, if you want to pick a character and like learn a lot of their nuance, those character tutorials seem pretty good. I will say,
yeah,
halfway through that tutorial, especially with overdrive moves requiring multiple button presses. I sure did think at one point, like, man, some of this would be easier with a stick.
Oh, I'm right there with you, dude.
And then I put those thoughts out of my head.
Okay, I haven't yet. Granted, I did just buy a house, so maybe I put that one further down the purchase list, but
sure,
playing this and seeing MK and fucking Tekken on the horizon has me seriously thinking about buying a fight stick again.
Yeah, I might wait until at least MK is out and see if I stick with either this or that or both before I would make any kind of investments. Yes, exactly. But yeah, some of this stuff, like, I think the PS5 controller is generally fine, but it was definitely sort of pushing it.
I think the
beyond its
PS5
limits a little bit.
The PS5 D-pad I find pretty easy to use as far as doing like the classic style of, Street Fighter moves. I think it works pretty well, but yeah, there's just some part of me that's just like, yeah, but what if you had a stick?
Yeah,
Alex,
I might wait and see.
I'm gonna drop off my fight stick to you if you want it. I've got two of them.
PS5
here.
fight stick?
The PS5 can work with the PC, so I think that's the one I have. I have to double check and make sure. I think it's the PS5. Xbox is the one that you always need to get the special one, right?
I think so.
No, Xbox sticks definitely work with PC.
Oh, they do?
Yes, because they just show up as like Xbox input devices.
Oh, is it wireless Xbox stuff?
Wireless Xbox stuff is weird, yes.
Well, even those should work with the dongle now. Or Bluetooth if they're new enough. I don't know how much Bluetooth support is in sticks, but the Xbox One controllers have supported Bluetooth for a long time.
Okay, I'll
just
double
keep
check.
in mind, I'm probably going to be playing all these games on PS5, so.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys didn't walk, or at least you, Brad, didn't get out of all that time at Giant Bomb with some extra stick floating around that was like, we don't need the same. I guess you were there with a bunch of people who were like fighting game enthusiasts.
Yes, I was like number 4 on the totem of people who cared about fighting games.
Right.
I don't remember sticks showing up for years anyway.
I think the last time I had a fighting stick in regular rotation was during the heyday of Street Fighter 4. Like I had one of those 360 like Hori sticks or whatever, and I used that thing pretty regularly.
I also had the relatively cheap Hori 360 stick.
Okay, I'm not going to say my fighting sticks are good, but I might have that.
Tell me about the sticks.
I think it's the Hori stick. I got one to play Dan that time in that that fucking Soul Calibur tournament we did, which I was like, I just need to get a stick, and I need to get to
You needed to free yourself any way you could.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm going to take a look and see what I've got here. Hold on a sec. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, he left. What do we do?
I don't know. I guess we'll stretch for time. Oh, wait, here we go. He's pulling something out here.
Rummaging around in the basement, although not that far, so it must be close at hand.
Yes.
I bet there's a lot of stuff in that basement, just sitting around ready to go.
It's a bigger basement than you think it is.
Okay. When you say the cheap Hori one, is this the cheap Hori one?
That looks...
It's in the neighborhood.
That looks maybe nicer than the one I've got. Yeah, that one definitely, I can't tell what some of those controls at the top are, but that's definitely bigger than mine.
Okay.
Mine was the Street Fighter branded one.
Yes. Mine might be Soul Calibur branded, but it's definitely very much like big enough for the stick and 6 buttons or 8 buttons, and that's about it.
This is the Real Arcade Pro EX, and I think I changed the buttons out on these, the Hori one. And this is an Xbox one, or at least Xbox branded. So I don't know if this will play on... the PC or the PS5.
I found a picture of mine from the 360. It is extremely basic.
Okay,
it's a stick and 6 face buttons, and that's it. And like start and select.
That's all you need. No one's ever needed more.
And then the other one I have is Mayflash, and this will do. It says PS3 on it, so it'll do PS3, and I think this is the one I got for the Soul Calibur one.
I think my 360 one is in storage right now, so soon I'll have it again.
Yeah, but
I wonder if there are adapters for Xbox to PlayStation.
I feel like some of the modern ones now are meant to be platform agnostic. Like they build in a switcher between platform.
Also, I don't know what's happening at the software level because there has been some rad shit like Skullgirl's built-in cross-platform stick support.
Yeah,
At the driver level, like I think Cowboy maybe had contributed to that driver.
Oh, I vaguely remember that from a while ago.
I do.
Cross-platform. I'm not sure how much of that is happening in individual games these days.
Anyway, fight sticks, racing wheels, the whole thing. Flight sticks, fight sticks, and racing wheels.
Yeah, at some point I will do my placements on PS5 when I feel more comfortable. But it's nice to just have a game that I fire up for 15 or 20 minutes.
Hell yeah.
Evening and just play 3 or 4 matches, and I'm like, all right, I'm good.
Still main and Ken?
Yeah, I mean, just by default, because I have 30 years of institutional knowledge there.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a pretty limited selection of characters I've been seeing. Like, I've never seen a Guile or a Blanca or a... Who else? Honda.
Huh.
Haven't seen any of them come up at all yet.
They're all ranked much higher. Those are all out there in the gold tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're all S tier, and I don't know.
You don't know.
It's mostly a lot of Ken, Ryu, and the new characters so far.
Still enjoying it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Street Fighter 6 still out there. Get in there before Mortal Kombat hits in September.
I can't believe it took me like a week of playing online to figure out like Drive Impact straight into Super Art is totally a thing you can and should do.
Oh, geez, they can't get out of the Drive Impact?
Well, I'm still not clear on all the mechanics, but there's the one where they just end up in that standing stun.
Yeah.
As they drop to their knees and you can just bust out your super.
Oh, boy.
There?
Oh, I'm never going online. That's it. You just sealed it for me. I'm going to get smoked. I'm going to wind up in the wood tier. Street Fighter 6 out there now. I think that's going to do it for the games this week. A lot of Diablo time in there. I now have a decent backlog of stuff I need to get to. I really wonder what's going to get finished first. Is it going to be Tears of the Kingdom or Diablo at this point? We'll see.
Diablo seems like it has the potential to be very long unless you just mainline the story quests.
Yeah. But also Tears of the Kingdom, unless you're just jumping in there, same thing, probably doing all those side dungeons. Also a very long game, probably. A
lot of big games, a lot of good ones.
A lot of hours spent. That's going to do it for the games. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the news, including some Apple news. We'll be right back. This week's show is brought to you by Bespoke Post. Brad and Alex, everybody knows about Bespoke Post by now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right, it's that service that drops knives left and right.
Yeah, that's right. We got
legendary knife shows up right there in the mail.
I've been getting a ton of stuff from Bespoke Post. This month I got a cooler, a foldable cooler, which is pretty useful. I'll say to keep things cool in a cooler.
Yeah, like whatever you're cutting with your knife, then you can put it in the cooler.
Yes, my big knife. Alex, what have you gotten?
I just got a thing what got soap in it, and also like shampoo and conditioner bars for your scalp. Like it's it's hot out there and you need to keep yourself clean.
Yeah,
now I got the hookup.
Or hydrated with your cooler.
Yeah.
Brad Shoemaker, you rocking any new Bespoke Post items?
Got an old-fashioned kit.
Ooh.
I think just add booze.
Okay.
Came with everything but the booze.
Like I said, keep yourself hydrated. We're talking about Bespoke Post Box of Awesome, where every month you get sent something from Bespoke Post in their Box of Awesome from boxofawesome.com. You can go there, you can take a quiz, and your answers will help them pick the right Box of Awesome for you. They have new boxes every month across a ton of categories, and each box is valued at around $70. But of course, you're only going to pay a fraction of that price. Plus, with each Box of Awesome, you're supporting small businesses. 90% of everything that comes in your Box of Awesome is from a small, up-and-coming brand. It's free to sign up, and you could skip a month or cancel at any time. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code Nextlander at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code Nextlander for 20% off your first box. Boxofawesome.com, code Nextlander. Thanks, Bespoke Post. All right, we are back, and it is time to jump into the news. And I want to say, while we were doing live stream Monday, was the Apple thing? Is that right?
Yes,
about right.
The Worldwide Developers Conference keynote was Monday morning.
Monday, and as we were streaming, just as we were wrapping up, their big headset, AR headset announcement happened. Brad Shoemaker, how do you sum up their headset announcement? What would you say in summary if you were
$34.99?
Just leave with the price.
Wow, $34.99?
Apparently that's exactly how Tim Cook phrased it on some morning show when they asked him how much it cost.
$34.99. Oh, wow, what a steal. $3,499 for Apple's new AR headset. All right, between the two of you,
Apple Vision Pro, we should say, is the name of it.
Apple Vision Pro.
The other thing I'm going to say before we get into this is like barely video game news. So know that going
there is
in.
barely video game news, so here we are.
Yeah.
How many impressions pieces have you guys watched since this keynote of like people who got hands on?
Read through a couple.
Okay.
I also have talked to our friend Norman Chan a little bit.
He got hands on with it.
Who got to try it?
So what have you heard?
It's weird. Like who it's for is very unclear.
Someone with $3,500. That's who it's for.
At this price, and did you guys watch the announcement? Like their actual manicured stage thing?
I did, and it was something.
Because they lead with like messages and maps and productivity stuff, and then here's how FaceTime works on it, and then here's how 3D photos and videos will work that you will record. And then Microsoft Office will be coming to it, and then only then at the end do they go, oh, by the way, here are some brand new apps some developers are making for it. And then only after that do they say, we're working with Unity to bring blah blah blah. They're going to make Unity, whatever development tools, SDKs and stuff are necessary to potentially bring Unity games to this thing. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It very much has the vibe of, hey, early adopters that love Apple stuff. Do you want to early adopt this new thing? This probably won't see mass, if it does, mass acceptance for another 2 iterations, let's say.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, this does feel like they are maybe trying to push what the upper limit of what even the early adopters will jump on, because I saw at least one video of some people that were doing a live watch of the Apple keynote thing, which I would assume that's all the Apple home fans there watching that. And when that price was dropped, it was a big old
So I'm of a couple of minds. I am certainly no Apple fanatic. Apple's kind of hit and miss, right? Like sometimes Apple reads the market and they get in ahead of something, right? Like
yes.
Smartphones and portable music players, right? Mm-hmm. I think they read the tea leaves there. They put. I think
that they like in the tablet era. I feel like they kind of led the way on the tablets. Yeah,
their design. They out-designed everybody, and they priced accordingly or overpriced accordingly. And people followed, right? People went in there. Smartwatches, they're not for me, and they weren't the first out there. But I also think that it was a slow acceptance of the Apple Watch, and they have
definitely become a lot more commonplace. Yeah. in a slow burn build in a way that normally Apple stuff doesn't. It usually hits in a bigger way. Like this one, I feel like I just started seeing more and more Apple Watches as each year went on.
Yeah, so I think the watch was a much more slower acceptance. I think like their AirPods are pretty successful and popular, even though they're not the first to market.
They kind of force them to be, yes.
But they do design stuff. So, Brad, we're talking about who is this for and kind of early adopters and, what the catch-on rate will be for this in generation 2 or 3, if it'll be there. Because for me, the VR market still doesn't seem to have penetrated deep enough to warrant what Apple is pitching here yet. This still feels somewhere between 3D glasses and the promise of AR, that realm of well, we could all be using this, but it's gonna be a real lifestyle change for all of us.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you believe the long view some people are taking on this stuff, this is just their stopgap until they can get to actual AR, just straight up glasses, which is what they would really like to be doing.
Yeah.
But for the time being, this is the best they can do. I don't know, this thing is weird. I don't know. Is this just for wealthy executives to replace their MacBooks with to take on the road and feel like they're in the future? I don't know. It's a productivity and communications device primarily.
It almost feels like they're going for like an enterprise level of like, hey, well-to-do companies maybe want to get some of these for their office and for their high-ranking employees, but like at that price point, and also with just sort of like no clear definition of exactly how useful this will be yet, I feel like that's not there. And well, look, from a technological standpoint, this thing does sound very impressive. Like, I will say the stuff I've read from people who have had hands-on with this and have kind of gone deep on the specs, they did not skimp on what they are putting into this thing. I think the problem they're maybe running into is that like nobody can envision an actual use case where they would want to run out and spend $3,500 right now.
Norm said his favorite thing he did on it was watching Avatar 2.
So that's the biggest use case I've seen so far. Is I could see this being a thing where for those luxury flights, the ones where you spend $50,000 to have your own room in, you get one of these, to put on to watch a movie on for 2 hours, because I think that's what the battery. Well, maybe plug it into the plane at that point. But like for ultra rich luxury things, like you can be like, oh, you got a reclining seat, your own room or something, and we'll provide an Apple Vision Pro with the latest movies on it that you can watch, check your email, and do those things to kind of isolate you from everybody else.
If you are a living Habsburg, this is the device for you.
There's a ton of setup you have to do. Like there's like straight up face and ear scanning and stuff you have to do before it'll work.
You saw that FaceTime stuff, which is just I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Maybe I'm a Luddite. So obviously if you're doing FaceTime, people can't see your face. So you 3D, the headset 3D scans your face before you put it on, obviously, and has an animated version of you responding in FaceTime.
No,
but that's not maybe the weirdest thing. And this is actually the coolest, most conceptually interesting thing that I think Apple's trying to solve. And that is, everybody knows when you have a headset on, it's very isolating. You've gone into another world. Everybody else in the room is non-existent, and you're kind of non-existent to them. I feel like Apple's stopgap solution to the glasses is this project your eyes onto the front of it thing, where people can see the cameras that look at your eyes. Well, there's an OLED screen. Is it actually OLED?
Yeah, I think it's OLED on the front.
That puts your eyes to people if you want them. If you're not engaged in some deep VR sensory deprivation chamber thing, like watching a movie, you can, or I don't know if it's if you engage the actual pass-through cameras, but your eyes will project on the front so people can see your eyes looking at them. From what they showed, decent effect. It doesn't look that weird. It's just
it does look weird.
It looks weird, but not that weird. And plus, you haven't gotten all the weird, from what I saw in most of the footage, is very curated footage, let's say. It didn't have every light angle and stuff like that, so you don't see the weird, somebody's tilted, their eyes don't get weird, or, if the camera's positioned weird, or, their eyes are tilted or in a weird spot. But that's a hard problem to solve, and probably the biggest thing I've run into in a family situation with VR is I don't like bringing it up because it's super isolating. Like, if you're with your partner or with a family, are you going to put your headset on and watch a movie while everybody else is sitting on a couch? Or is it going to be a thing? Nope. Like,
Apple would love if everyone in the family had one of these.
Like, I was talking to my wife about it and be like, do our kids have to be like, because we're not going to deal with this, I don't think, but be like, hey, no headsets at the table. Everybody take your headset off at the table, or, like, hey, if your friends come over, no headset. We're not wearing headsets, because we deal with that with phones, right? Like, hey, if your friends come over, try not to just sit and watch each other's phones, right? Is it going to be like, hey, if your friends come over, no headsets on? Is that the world that Apple wants us to live in? I don't know.
I think the world they want you to live in is the one where you give them $3,500 and they don't give a shit what happens after that.
I don't know. What we talked about this before, but Brad, you got one recently. The Apple Watch prices came down dramatically in the last couple of years, right?
I don't know if the prices did. They've just gotten dramatically better.
Okay.
Like the first 2-3 models of Apple Watch were kind of garbage in a lot of ways and are completely obsolete now. But now they are very capable.
So you think Apple more than ever is just in the Apple early adopter will pick up the tab on this while we iterate and kind of...
Yeah, I don't know for sure what the end game is. I mean, the end game is like something that just looks like a pair of glasses and does everything this does, but that's who knows how many years away. I think this thing is cool as a test bed way to push forward some of the component technologies that they have to develop and improve and iterate on to make it.
I'm nodding. Yes.
Like, would I spend even a third of this price on this thing? Absolutely not. Like, I have zero interest in like using this thing because all they really showed of it was a different way to do a lot of things you're already doing.
Yeah.
So, well, with the exception of like actually the coolest thing in there was that virtual production line that they showed. It's like, hey, you could see a life-size representation of the new production line you're tooling up in the factory with this. Like, that's kind of an interesting application. But FaceTiming with people, I've had an iPad. I'm good.
I don't even FaceTime with people on regular phones.
There are situations where I would like to test this out. They showed, like you said before, productivity suites, and it's interesting. I think they're doing. If this catches on, I believe there will be things that other VR or AR headset manufacturers will want to incorporate. The thing where you can shift, I don't know what you call it, the crown they have on the side that shifts how much of your real environment comes through while you're in the screen. I think that's a good idea for situational awareness. We're not full situational awareness, but the eye tracking sounds amazing. Like, they have 4 cameras in there tracking our eyes.
Again, they are not skimping on the technology, it seems like.
The downward facing cameras, so you can just snap your fingers or click your fingers for navigation. Is a smart
did you guys talk about lack of controllers while I was
No, we didn't.
Like, that's kind of like probably the biggest difference between this and every other headset out there, and also one of the most relevant things for games, if they ever even actually get a lot of games shipping on this thing, which I'm not convinced. But no controllers. So
yeah. No controllers.
Is the gesture recognition going to be accurate and fast enough to work with video games? Who can say?
Also, no keyboard, obviously, so a lot of voice recognition. So, in a production environment, you don't want to just be talking out the entire time. If you are wearing this thing to isolate, let's say, instead of looking at monitors, are you then just speaking aloud to... I think you can hook up into your Apple ecosystem, which was kind of neat, like looking at the Mac screen and bringing in your desktop. Like, those are very Apple things, right? Stay in the ecosystem, and I think you can hook up a keyboard to it if you want, but you better be a good touch typer. I
am not. So,
really interesting. Also, heard very heavy.
Yes,
that doesn't surprise me.
Made of glass and metal, so. 2-hour battery time. Battery pack is external, kind of has a wire that goes into a battery pack into your pocket.
They sure didn't call a lot of attention to that battery pack in the demo that they showed.
It's got the look of it. If anybody hasn't seen it, it looks like a pair of ski goggles, but it's got the look of early prototype shit, like, which is kind of cool.
And I think that's one of the hurdles they need to clear here, apart from the gigantic price, is that, look, it's not like people have not tried to attempt consumer-facing models of this sort of technology before. I mean, Google Glass was a thing, albeit a much more limited device than what this is trying to do. But the problem is to my mind, they are not clearing the "you look like an idiot" hurdle, which is one of the most important hurdles for a device like this that is going on your damn face.
Yeah, agreed. I
think we lost Vinny.
Oh, wow. I thought he was just stunned at the quality of your analysis.
Yeah.
I think this thing is like conceptually interesting as something to spectate and see what they do with it and what other tech emerges from the development of this thing. Is this something I need in my life? Not a chance. Not at all.
Not at this stage of my life.
As it looks right now, like maybe some games will come over to it via the Unity tools they're going to be developing, but is the install base for this thing ever going to be big enough for that to happen at any scale? Who knows?
I'm going to say no, probably not, at least not in the immediate future. Did Microsoft abandon their AR
HoloLens?
Did they abandon their ambitions around that stuff?
I can't remember where that has ended up. I think they had a new product planned there that may have gotten pushed back.
Okay. Because they were definitely targeting like the enterprise level for that thing.
Yeah, like I remember taking that HoloLens appointment at E3 7 years ago or something like that.
Something like that.
Like my mind just blown completely. But
I mean, HoloLens had games.
Yeah,
that thing has not like come to market in any kind of mass market way. But anyway,
well,
also while we're on the subject. Wait, are you moving again? Okay.
Yeah, no, Vinny is moving again. Welcome back again.
Sorry, yeah, I don't know what happened. Apple kicked me out for saying nasty things.
Tim Cook's always watching.
Yeah.
Just while we're on the subject, Meta announced the Quest 3.
Yeah.
I'm sure that timing of that announcement was not coincidental. Not a lot to say there. Higher res screens, better performance, slimmer, more comfortable headset, they say. They didn't really publish specs or anything, so like it's a better Quest. It's the sequel to the Quest 2 is basically all there is to say there. It's coming out, I think, later this year. I mean, I guess the biggest thing to know there is it's kind of sliding in at the current Quest 2 pricing. And the Quest 2 will continue to be available and is going down to $300.
Okay.
So,
that's a decent headset getting cheaper, so that's cool.
I might think about, we'll see where the PC stuff goes. I have the PlayStation VR stuff now. A decent amount of stuff continues to make its way over to PlayStation VR, so I don't know if I need the PC side of things at this point.
Between that and that developer who very aggressively said, hey, this may never happen, and then seems to keep making a lot of progress on making it happen. Between ports to PSVR 2 and that development effort progressing on making that headset work on PCs, I also am just going to wait and see how that goes.
Wait and see. Also, just VR technology just seems to be iterating despite what we feel about adoption of it. People are moving forward on development teams, apparently. And, say what you will about who this is for, the Apple stuff, who this is for, a $3,500 headset. People pay attention when Apple puts out a product. So, there will be plenty of people looking at this being like, oh, should we rework our headset? Are people going to get into this? I have no freaking idea.
Yeah. I don't think Apple does either.
You guys talked a little bit about Google Glass and stuff like that, but I think the thing, aside from looking like a complete dork wearing this stuff, is I don't think people are that comfortable with just seeing other people wearing recording apparatus. They did. My wife and I were really having a good time about this because she was like, "What the hell?" That recording of the kid's birthday or the kids, the dad. Do you remember that part of the demo where it's the 3D recording? And she was like, "This is like every video game you play, every horror video game you play. How do you watch back any of that stuff without thinking somebody's dead? It is every
definitely
happy birthday, Daddy. Right. Happy birthday, Daddy. We got you this cake. Blow out the candles." And be like, that's when the other guy walks in the room and somebody slams down the recording in your sci-fi ship. And you're like, oh, what happened? They were all killed on, whatever.
I played Soma. I know where this ends up.
Yeah. It's like every weird holographic 3D recording thing just means the person you're watching has had some horrible end.
Definitely some shades of Black Mirror a couple times in that presentation.
Yeah, and I don't know. When somebody's wearing that and talking to you, it's just hard to get past. Like, can you just take the fucking thing off? Can you just take the thing off? That's the part.
Yeah, like how are you going to react if you go to like 4th of July barbecue or whatever and somebody shows up and spends the entire barbecue in one of these and just interacts with people? Like, no. And that was a Google Glass problem.
It was a real Google Glass problem. Like, everybody you saw wearing it, you were just like, dude, come on, just take it off. We know this is it's got the same thing where we know this is like or it makes you look like a rich tech bro, like, because there's a barrier to entry here that is a fucking lot.
Yeah.
And second is like, do we need to do this now? I'm telling you about my divorce. Do you need to have the fucking thing on? Like,
yeah.
Are you watching Avatar right now?
I'll be curious to see where the technology on this goes because there is some pretty advanced stuff in here. But as a product that I feel any desire at all to own. Not in the slightest.
Non-existent.
Look, Apple, if you want to send me one for free, I'm okay to that. But I don't think I can get it on a $3,500 headset now.
I am way more interested in the actual coolest news out of WWDC.
Yes, Brad, segue us out of this.
I didn't even see this until this morning. I mean, understandably, the Vision Pro has kind of dominated all of the talk out of that conference. Apple has straight up developed a Proton-style compatibility. In fact, it is also based on Wine, as is Proton. A compatibility layer for Mac OS and specifically ARM Mac machines to run DirectX 12 Windows games.
It's really weird.
Which is just like, what the... I quite literally out loud exclaimed, "I'm sorry, what?" when I saw that this morning. Like, don't think we really need to get into the decades-long history of Apple not giving a single shit about games here. But, like, what? Like, this is wild, man. This is really crazy. They're working with Codeweavers, who's also involved with Wine and Proton. Proton is the mostly Valve-developed compatibility layer that runs on the Steam Deck to make Windows games work.
Mm.
This is a lot like that,
and that's for Unix core stuff, right? That's for Linux.
You can use Proton on any Linux desktop machine as well,
right?
To play Windows games, but it is very actively developed for the Steam Deck as well. This is nuts. Like, this is completely crazy.
The gaming porting toolkit.
The game porting toolkits. Yes, there's straight up an animated GIF in this Verge story of them launching. I believe it's the Medium. Yes, they are like straight up launching it from a terminal window, launching like medium.exe or whatever here and having it run on the Mac. Like, people on Reddit have grabbed the developer version of this already and have benchmarked stuff. Like, it seems to work pretty well and runs shockingly well. Like, I saw somebody running Cyberpunk on Ultra on a baseline M1 MacBook Pro. They were getting like 15 frames a second on Ultra, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like that's not bad for a laptop at all. So, let alone a situation where you're translating both the graphics API and the CPU architecture on the fly. Like, it's like I saw footage of somebody playing Diablo IV at like 80 frames a second on a MacBook Pro. Like, it's kind of nuts that they've done this. Like, it's just so not like Apple to put out something like this, but I'm really curious to see where this is going to go.
This Verge story kind of pushes the narrative in the direction of this tool is mostly now for game developers to see how optimized their games might be on this system and how much work they'd have to put in to kind of make it run at a comparable level to a PC. Yeah, not necessarily for running a game directly at this point.
Like I said, I just found out about this morning. I'm not versed well in this stuff, but like looking at some developers on Mastodon talking about it, it seems like the licensing for this also might not be such that you can just ship a game on Mac with this.
Interesting.
Like, it very much seems like it's geared toward developers at the moment, but also anybody with a MacBook or any kind of Mac can actually just go get this right now and try it out.
Right. But I don't think it, at least according to the story, is probably not being sold as a, hey, just take your PC library and run it on a Mac. It's more for optimizing and seeing how much optimization you have to do as a developer for your game. Hence the porting tool part of the game license. Yeah, but the name. But you're right, dude. It is a weird step for Apple. It's
wild to see. They also, I mean, not to just turn this into Apple Hour, they also announced an ARM Mac Pro finally. Like a straight up Mac Pro tower or rack mount if you want.
Yeah.
But like a full on Mac Pro with a 24 core ARM CPU in it, which is like something people have been waiting on since they changed architectures again.
Look, we get one Apple Hour, maybe two per year on this podcast. So I say milk it for all it's worth.
Well, just to tie it back into the headset, I don't know if we mentioned this. The headset is a fully contained CPU.
Yeah, it's got an M2 in it.
It's not streaming games from a Mac laptop or something like that. It is running its own, which I don't know. Do you think this has one to do with the other at all in terms of like, if you ever want to get a game on this thing? I know we said it has no controller support. But if you ever want to get Windows app support here, could this be a step into bridging a connection between PC and Mac development?
It's possible.
It's a weird one. Like that headset is what, like Brad, you said like 10 times. It is not pitched as a gaming device. Ooh. It is no controllers. It is not. But it's going to need an ecosystem if it's going to live. And there hasn't been any lack of a Mac ecosystem. People make Mac apps all the time. We'll see. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, but yeah, the idea that you could just play something like Diablo on your MacBook on the go now, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, without having to open up like Steam streaming or I don't know. Was it Coco? My what's the old Mac
Coco is a development framework.
Yeah, it's Coco. That's what I was thinking of for making my Mac apps.
Oh,
my,
sure.
My Coco apps.
Yeah.
Is that OS? Was that early OS 10?
I think so. I think that sounds right.
Yeah. What am I gonna put me out of business? I think that's going to do it for the Apple event stuff. I mean, well, the relevant stuff that we wanted to talk about here for the Apple event stuff. Obviously, Apple has all of its other announcements with their Studio Pros and the whole other thing. But we are not here to report on that. We're here to talk about video games. And we are in the season for Breezin'.
The season for the reason?
Yeah, sure. The season for treason. And I'm talking about Jeff Keighley stealing E3.
Jeff Keighley is a traitor?
To E3 he is. To the ESA he is.
God, what was that headline I saw? I didn't read the story because the pull quote seemed a little sensational, but it was something along the lines of like Jeff Keighley says he didn't kill E3, E3 killed itself, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening?
Here it is, yes.
Drama.
E3 killed it, quote, E3 killed itself, not competition from Summer Game Fest, says Jeff Keighley.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
They found Keighley.
He's extremely not wrong.
No, but, I'm just surprised he found time to give that quote in between frantically looking up every dead celebrity on Moby Games and getting a tweet out on the Game Awards account.
Wow.
He's still doing it!
So they won't stop. They walked into the room, they found Keighley standing over E3, but they can't prove anything.
Yeah.
We have this Summer Game Fest. I really want to call it Summer Games Fest, but it is Summer Game Fest happening as at the time of this recording, like 24 hours from now. So we decided to jump in and talk about a little bit about what we have going on, because we also have Microsoft's showcase happening on Sunday, Ubisoft happening shortly after that.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, you've kind of sent around some lists of some upcoming games. We got 2023 in review here, or in the front view, not in review.
Yeah, just thought we would talk about what we want to see, what we expect to see is tough this year. Things are weird still, but maybe more want to see.
Well, this year is better in general, I think, for releases than the last couple have been for obvious pandemic-related reasons. But I feel like a lot of it has been front-loaded is the thing.
Yeah, I meant things are more weird on the convention show circuits, with E3 almost making it and then getting canceled, but these other events still going forward and stuff like that. It's just kind of things are chaotic about what's getting announced where and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm looking at the upcoming from July until the end of this year, and there's, it's pretty well filled out until about September, and then you look at October and November, and it's oh cool, there's 12 games here, and there's nothing in November. There's nothing in November, and then there are 600 games that are unknown, don't have a release date, queue something, what have you. Yes,
with apologies to the day before and the Fox Awaits Me Hana. There are literally no games confirmed for November yet.
That is not the November I know.
That absolutely will change. What's it going to be? I'm excited
what will be
to find
there?
Out.
So, confirmed so far for at least Summer Game Fest, right? Mortal Kombat and Alan Wake. So we cross those off the list.
Excited to see those.
Can I run down in our database tool here? You just tell me, Brad and Alex, no way or yes to seeing any of these titles appear in the next 3 weeks at something. Here's what we have with no release date so far. Frostpunk 2. Maybe you could say maybe.
I'm going to say maybe on that one.
Not really, not the flashiest thing for a stream.
But that's a middle of the stream thing.
Terminator Dark Fate Defiance.
I'm going to say no.
Wonder Woman.
Maybe. That's a poll that I had not considered. Monolith is doing that, and it's been a very long, not a very long, it's been 6 years since
But they haven't shown anything of that yet, have they?
No, they just announced it a couple years ago, but I think Shadow of War was 2017.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Star Wars Eclipse.
No.
Maybe.
Okay.
I could see that maybe popping up.
I'm saying no.
There's a lot of Star Wars stuff on the books now that I think about it.
I'm going to say, all right, Outer Worlds 2.
Maybe. If we see anything out of Obsidian, I would... yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I'd say maybe.
I would say that's probably the one so far I've named that I have the most faith in seeing.
I could see that maybe being on the Keeley show. I would rather see Avowed from them if I could pick from Obsidian.
I'm going to skip a couple here. How about Avatar Frontiers of Pandora at the Ubisoft thing?
That'll be at the Ubisoft thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That will absolutely be there, because if it isn't, that's a bad sign.
Dune Awakening.
Oh, right. Right.
Is that like, that's not like a 4X or something, is it?
Open World Survival MMO.
A what?
Yeah, I forgot
weird.
about that one. No, the Spice Wars is the strategy game that is already currently exists in early access.
Right. God, weird. This is Funcom.
So maybe, because isn't that other Dune movie supposed to come out this year?
Oh, yeah. The part 2?
Dune Part 2, I think is this year.
I think you're right.
I think that's holiday. Yeah, it's November this year. So I bet they probably have that somewhere.
I got a game here called Weird Song, which I didn't quite remember. That's from NetEase. Where Wind Meets. Man, the Finals.
Maybe.
What's the Finals?
It's the Embark competitive shooter that has been run a couple of alphas already.
Okay, yeah. So I might put that in the maybe.
Maybe get a trailer somewhere. I mean, if we're talking about Embark, I would love to see more Arc Raiders.
Yes. Hades 2.
Maybe.
I could see it.
Depends on where they're at with that one, because I don't really know. But I mean, if they feel like they're in any kind of like reasonable launch window status, I would say definitely. That is one that Keeley would absolutely go after.
Death Stranding 2.
Hmm.
Here's what here's my Kojima check-in for this thing. He will be there to promote that documentary about him and nothing else.
Not even a teaser for Death Stranding 2 at that point?
I would believe that.
I would believe that.
There's also the question of that studio's Xbox exclusive game as well, and whether that shows up in some form. But
yeah.
I also would not be shocked if he is there and has no games to show.
Splash Damage's next game, which I'll remind you is Transformers Reactive.
What? That's not a real game.
Transformers Reactivates. Reactivate.
Still not a real game.
Nope. 1 to 4 player online action game.
Nope.
Closed beta planned for 2023.
Oh, right. I don't think they've shown what that even looks like, have they?
I don't think they have.
There's an announcement trailer.
Right.
But that's
I remember this announcement trailer. I don't think they've shown any footage of this yet.
I don't remember this at all.
It was at something. I can't remember.
Okay.
Maybe it was at the last Summer Games?
I don't remember when this got shown, but I do remember seeing that video.
Transformers movie's coming out this year.
Flashback 2? Probably. Well, maybe in some part of the summer game. Maybe. Like the PC part, maybe?
Somewhere.
Let's see. That's probably not going to go. Marathon. Nah.
They just announced that. They're not going to... They're going to wait on that one.
Yeah, nothing.
There's a lot of this stuff is stuff we just saw. Revenant Hill we probably won't see more of for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say anything at that Sony thing.
Yeah.
In fact, and also anything made by Sony is completely off the list.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Stalker 2. That's got a date, right?
I could see it. That obviously got delayed by the war.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's 2023 at this point, right?
Yes. I think that's the closest to an actual date right now. They've got it listed at December on Steam right now, so
okay,
that seems
so
very
that could
provisional.
mean anything.
Okay, we mentioned Arc Raiders. Do you guys remember Replaced? It's that very 2.5D cool looking game.
Yes, I do remember this.
Yes, it's like kind of pixely.
Yeah, got like a Blade Runner look to it.
Yes, that looks cool.
That would be cool to see. I feel
like we're due to see more of that one.
Spider-Man 2. We saw so much of that.
We saw it.
We just saw it's Sony.
We're done on that one.
Yep,
yeah, nothing from Sony.
Let's see. Space Marine 2?
I could see that being a Key 3 thing.
Yeah, I'd see a trailer for that. I'm going to say yes. Space Marine 2. Warhammer finds its way to get into something. Hyper Lightbreaker.
Maybe.
Yeah, that game got delayed at some point, didn't it?
It's still
But
got a 2023
I think still
date.
in the 2023 window. So if they were going to do it, that would be the place to do it.
Quantic Dreams Under the Waves.
I don't know if the world is ready to start seeing Quantic Dream games again.
I didn't even know that was a game.
I think this still possibly has a 2023 date. It's possible that date has shifted around.
We did just see some new footage, I think, of RoboCop Rogue City.
That's
boy.
Quantic Dream just publishing that.
Oh,
Okay.
it's Parallel
Not
Studio.
RoboCop, the thing we were talking about before. Yes.
Yes. Under the Waves. RoboCop. You think we can get more?
No, I think we just
mean,
saw it.
Maybe. Yeah, not at this stuff. I mean, that's out pretty soon.
They
That's
just
out
put a
in-
new trailer thing out for that.
That's out in like 3 months. I'm kind of curious about that thing. It seems a bit self-aware.
Moving Out 2.
Maybe.
Not the biggest thing, but could be. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
How are we both looking at that at the same time? I was about to say that. What the
next
fuck,
thing
man?
It's the next thing on my list.
What the fuck?
That's what we're always thinking about it.
All right.
Yes? No.
If they're gonna, that would be the place to do it. I don't think it would show up anywhere else.
Okay.
What about the new Like a Dragon game?
Could see it,
Does that have a date?
maybe. Well, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's been that long since that changing of the guard on that team.
Yeah, but I mean, the big one is supposed to be out, I think, next year, but there is like a smaller thing that I think is coming out this year.
Yeah, if it's out next year, I could maybe see something showing up from it.
SteamWorld Build.
That's pretty close to done, I think. So maybe.
Oh, does that have a date?
I don't think so, but I mean,
okay.
they put a demo out and everything, so.
I hope so. That demo was fun. That'd be fun. That's all I have for 2023 and stuff with no dates for on our database stuff. What else do you guys want to talk about?
This is really just obviously relevant to the Microsoft stream, but like what that thing is kind of all I care about right now.
They have the most things that are just in the dark right now.
Like Keeley will have stuff, but like Microsoft straight up has like a dozen games announced with no date, some of which have been announced for years now. And they've got a stable of satellite studios that have been quiet for a while that might also have something ready to show.
What would you say, Brad, on Brad Shoemaker's, like, hey, we need proof of life. We need to hear from you. What is highest on your list? Or what are your highest?
I'd say it's more stuff I want to see. I'm not gonna say anybody like needs to prove that they're still making a game necessarily, but
no, I don't mean that. I don't take my analogies or metaphors too seriously. I just mean, what would you like to see?
I would like to see Everwild from Rare. I would like to know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would like to see what Playground's take on Fable is going to be.
Uh-huh.
I would love to see State of Decay 3.
I know you would.
Again, like Sea of Out from Obsidian, which seems quite in the vein of Skyrim if you've forgotten about that game.
I have forgotten about that game.
Not like Perfect Dark, like
Mm.
I'll look at that, but I'm not exactly champing at the bit for it.
I'm not expecting to see it here, but like I do want to see what that Kojima Xbox game is going to be.
Yeah, like maybe they give some more details on what that's going to be. Compulsion has to be making something. The We Happy Few developer.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like it's been a while since they shipped something. Like id. It's been 3 years since Doom Eternal came out. Like id obviously has to be working on something by now. There's whatever is going on at Machine Games.
Is that Indiana Jones still?
That's Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, and then maybe who knows if maybe they have more than one thing going. I don't know. Because there's also the question of what the hell happened to Wolfenstein.
Well, I think what happened to Wolfenstein is those games didn't sell as well as they hoped.
Yeah, what happened is Indiana Jones, I think.
Yeah, but we're probably still too early for even an announce of a new Double Fine thing, even if it's not like a Psychonauts level thing, right?
It's been like 2 years.
I could see a Psychonauts expansion or like side story.
Or like some smaller game from them.
Yeah, it's been 2 years, right? I think. 21?
Yes, it has.
Aaron Greenberg was out there hyping a bit, saying that there would be no CG-only trailers at this thing.
Well, that's encouraging.
Like that everything.
That's a Microsoft thing.
Yes. that everything shown will have at least some in-game stuff shown.
Okay. Which either means they're going to show exactly 3 games, or it could actually be exciting. We'll see.
Yeah. Or he's capitalizing on the discontent coming out of the Sony thing, because he's a pretty savvy marketer.
It's a pretty easy discontent to seize on, to be fair.
Do you think Microsoft puts any 2024 games up in their thing this year?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Only if they're confident in it, I think.
Always the potential to say, hey, here's this coming next year.
Okay.
If it's like, well, I started to say if it's like Perfect Dark or something that's been known about for ages and they say it's coming next year, I'm like,
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's not like I expect to get all these games coming out this year at all.
And they're going to do, Starfield is going to get its own airtime, but maybe they'll do a small teaser.
Yeah, I bet they show some Starfield during the main thing, and then they're doing that like big deep dive afterwards.
So, we'll know more, a lot more, or everything by the next time we have a podcast. So it'll be interesting to kind of go over what we do and do not see. I got some 2024. It's Suicide Squad get pushed to 2024? Is that how far the date went out for Suicide Squad?
Yes,
okay.
it did.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it a month ago or so.
Oh, man. Okay.
It's hard to keep track, but yes,
I
it did.
forgot how far. Okay. And then Homeworld also got pushed to 2024?
Yes.
Okay. Video games.
Oh,
Some will come out.
I forgot Ninja Theory is doing 2 things. They've got Hellblade 2 and then also whatever that Project Mara is that they announced like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, right.
Like, it's just a ton of stuff that Microsoft owns.
Judas. That's got a 2025 date.
Maybe I could, like Keighley certainly is out there a lot talking about like, hey, I'm at Ghost Story. Here's me and Ken Levine. Or I got to play some of that game a while back or whatever. Like, he definitely is in with them. I could maybe see some Judas stuff showing up.
Is it worth showing Judas? I guess that's a separate question. Is it worth showing Judas stuff considering it's an announced 2025 game? Like what
Depends on how much
towards?
I think it really comes down to how much damage control do you think you need to do to the reputation of Ken Levine and his whole thing, because that guy has basically just been behind a curtain for over a decade now.
Like trying to get out there and
like,
drum
hey,
up.
remember him? Remember BioShock? Maybe don't remember BioShock Infinite, but do you remember BioShock?
Sure.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Been a while. All right. I mean, that's a lot of potential stuff they could show that we just kind of rattled off. And that's just stuff that's mostly announced, aside from where we said some studios that have been quiet for a while.
Yeah, there will probably be some surprises in there somewhere, but...
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, to be clear, especially at Xbox, I'm not expecting to see all of that stuff by a long shot. That's just all stuff that we know about that could be there.
I just came across a name I haven't seen in a while. Slitterhead.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Where's Slitterhead? The people are wondering.
Can't say that out loud, man.
Somewhere.
Who is making that? Boca?
Isn't it Yamaoka?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Silent Hill fame.
Man,
I thought that was his, right?
I think so.
This has Boca Game Studio, but I don't know who Boca Game Studio is.
It's led by
Toyama.
But I think Toriyama is involved in it. But it's Toyama's studio.
Okay. Anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah, Yamaoka
sorry,
is involved in that game. My knowledge of the Silent Hill development history is not great.
But yeah, Yamaoka is doing the soundtrack for Slitterhead.
Here's again, developers do what you got to do. Publishers, you do what the developers got to do. Here's what I do want to hear though, or would not like to see. I don't want to see too much added to this pile that necessarily feels like it needs to be announced without a release date, right? Like we got a lot of stuff out there currently in development that is kind of ethereal or feels like it's, just a name and a trailer. And I know publishers want to get their studios out there and create buzz, but we don't need to make this list of indeterminate release any bigger.
No.
Yeah. It'd be nice to start getting dates for things. I would rather get like dates and looks at things we do know about at this point than a bunch of new stuff announced that's not going to be out for another year or two.
or at least or indeterminate, right? Like, hey, we just want to get a buzz out there. But if you're saying there's no CG trailer, that means whatever they show has to be in some state of development at the Microsoft thing, at least. And the Keighley, I'll say this, Keighley Summer Game Fest, they show a lot of stuff back to back. It's
2 hours for a reason.
And it's not a lot of chatting. You know, it's dense, and then there's like a weird, uncomfortable segment of chatting every, 30, 45 minutes. That feels like,
here's what's going on with season 7 of our sponsor.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Like, let's just talk about, Last of Us TV series for a bit here.
Yeah, here's Neil Druckmann to stare into the middle distance for a while.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. It's say what you will, goof on it, and we will probably goof on it. They show a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And it's pretty dense. So we'll be talking over that on a Thursday. Then again, Sunday for Microsoft, and it's Ubisoft the week following week, which I think is Monday, is their showcase press conference, and those are the big announced ones, right? Are there anything else? I know there's other side things happening that we might not be talking over. I'm sure Devolver doing a thing this year?
Devolver's got a thing.
Okay.
Capcom just announced a thing for Monday afternoon, but it's like 30 minutes long.
And is there? Are they doing the PC? Is it the PC game showcase?
I don't know if that's happening this year.
Okay. We're not going to be covering everything,
no.
But we are going to try and do Xbox and Ubisoft. Did EA announce their own thing for this summer?
EA, last I checked, had not announced anything.
Okay.
Yeah, PC Gamer is doing the PC gaming show again on Sunday.
I will
Sunday,
say EA did just send out a press release today for their Madden stuff, so they may already be like, hey, this is just what we're doing this year.
Interesting. Or maybe they'll get in somewhere else. Maybe they'll get in show stuff at the Keighley stuff, and
I bet one or two EA things will pop in there, and maybe at Microsoft as well. I mean, the EA did have at least one thing at that Sony thing, if I remember correctly.
I'm looking forward to it. Always look forward to the big showcase stuff, and this is what it is this year. And then, I was almost going to say Leipzig. Gamescom still happening, right? TGS still happening towards the end of the summer.
As far as we know.
Leipzig not happening.
No, Leipzig hasn't happened in some time.
EXO just not happening. This is what we got now.
Bring it back.
Bring back EXO.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to look
World.
up. We talked a little bit about EXO on Never Been a Better Podcast just very briefly, and I went to go look up the dates. I didn't realize they brought it back. Not recently, but in the 2017. I don't know why you call it EXO in 2017, but
I think it was some slightly different format or something.
Still world hopping, out there.
Not quite as big a thing.
So that is going to be your not E3 stuff that we'll be talking over, and the games you potentially may or may not see there, or that we are interested in seeing or not seeing. That's going to do it for the news. Thanks everybody for tuning in this week. We got a podcast email address here. It is podcast@nextlander.com. Podcast@nextlander.com. We are going to grab those emails. We'll put them in another show. Send them on in. We'll look over them and get them in another show. I gotta get my butt out of here and go to a fantastic, if you can hear me upstairs, band concert. Middle school band concert.
Wow, way to suck up to your own kids.
Hopefully an indoor one.
Indoor. I keep waiting to see if my phone beeps to see if it's canceled or not. So far, not. But yes, I get to watch my son play French horn, which I'm very excited about. I want to thank everybody for listening this week. We had a bunch of stuff going on this week, aside from the Thursday and Sunday press conference stuff. On Monday, we played some Diablo. I mentioned it before. We jumped in Diablo 4, played some co-op. We got the Ramble cast up now. We have last week, our Planorama went up at the end of the week. This week, we just recorded it on Monday. We have Never Been a Better Podcast with Abby and Bacalar. You can hear all about Abby's trip to Europe, and you can hear all about Bacalar lamenting seeing people. He's a very social creature.
Indeed.
You can check that out on Friday. We also have the Watchcast going on. We have started down our Lynchian highway with Blue Velvet.
We are not lost on this highway. We are found, and we have found our way to the films of David Lynch.
I might be a little lost.
Okay.
I might be a little lost.
I'm doing my best to help wherever I can.
I need a compass. We have Blue Velvet. We are watching Dune this week, so if you want to keep up, you can go watch David Lynch's Dune, and you can find that over on the Patreon on Monday. That's patreon.com/Nextlander, along with the schedule for watching is over there in the posts if you want to keep up over there as well. Patreon.com/Nextlander, you may have heard of it. It's where you can find a tier that's just right for you over there. Bunch of fun stuff, like we mentioned, Never Been a Better Podcast, Watchcast, Ramblecast, all those fun things to check out. But there is one tier there. Alex Navarro, do you know about this tier?
I am aware of this tier.
Alex, would you do the honors of recognizing our mysterious benefactors for this week? The privilege, the honor of naming these mysterious benefactors.
Okay. Our mysterious benefactors for this week are RRE, John Richardson, Kelly F., James Smith, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Sean Miller, it's Brad's Midsize Hoodoo Voodoo, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Gary Pesky, Robert Fisher, John McInnes, The Bunny Demon, Peter Reardon, Thomas Lynn, Jad Rita, Statics, Andrew Jackson, Mega Crane, Razgriz2 endorses Remap Radio in a podcatcher near you, Brian Murphy, Trevor and Adrian R., Randy Duax, Andrew Tiepkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Matt Clements Jr., Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese. I'm just going to say right now, if you want us to endorse things on these here shoutouts, make sure it's a thing we're comfortable endorsing, like, say, our good friends at Remap Radio. If it's something we're not down with, we're just not going to read it.
Fair enough. We will editorialize.
Yes.
Congratulations to Remap.
Yes.
And the launching. Should go check that out. Best of luck to them over there. And whatever's happening at Vice, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just happy my friends found a way to do a thing out of the thing they were already doing. Whatever happens to Vice at this point, it's over there.
You hand waved, you pushed it away.
Yeah, congrats to them on launching that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that I'll just quickly mention here, we mentioned it on Never Been a Better Podcast. Alex, you mentioned it specifically, and I looked it up this morning as I was editing the show. Looks like the CNET editors did unionize.
Yeah, they did.
Over there. And sounds like they are, like, as of today, the story's going up in negotiations over there for like what that looks like over at Red Ventures, I guess.
Uh-huh. Remember them?
I do. I thought that was kind of interesting to see. Just happening very recently. You can catch where that comes in on Never Been a Better Podcast. I want to thank everybody for listening. Don't forget to tune in on Thursday and Sunday and Monday for those press conferences, Summer Game Fest, Microsoft and Ubisoft, respectively. We're going to be talking over those. Brad Shoemaker, Alex Navarro, thank you as always for joining us here, and thanks everybody for listening, supporting, and watching. Also, plenty of stuff to watch. We appreciate it, and we'll be back to make sure we to acknowledge that we got everything right about the press conference stuff.
Oh yeah.
We'll be back next week.